All right, welcome to the Blue Falcon podcast. I am Bobby Stegall. Today, I'm joined with Mr. David Waldy. Waldy or Walby?
Waldy with a like
Waldy.
Waldo with a Waldo with
Yeah,
a Y.
I put that in my phone, and I was like, I need to be sure that I wrote this down right. But Mr. Waldy, this is our second conversation, first recording. I appreciate you having the patience with the podcast. And our last conversation was probably one of the best business conversations that also mixed in our faith. And I'd like to introduce you as the person of fierce empathy. Mr. Waldy here put an Instagram post out, and I had just received a follow request from him. And I was looking at his page, and I mean, this Instagram post I was like, I don't know if I want to read this whole thing. But I read the whole thing, and it was really awesome because I'd never heard the word fierce empathy. And so, without further ado, Mr. Waldy, thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, man, Bobby, I'm honored to be here, brother. I'm looking forward to today, and hopefully we can give some gold nuggets and serve some people well. And I hope you guys find this. We're gonna have fun, man. We like to laugh, but we also will take it serious. Our last one, we recorded. Well, we thought we were recording the whole entire time, and we were going deep on some stuff.
Man, yeah.
And then, like part of the way through, I don't know, we were like 40 minutes in, and then Bobby's like, "Hey, David, yeah, we're gonna have to reschedule this."
I wish I was recording just for the look on my face. I was like, oh,
We're gonna have fun today, man. I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me again, Bobby. I appreciate it.
Of course. The way we got into that conversation, I guess we'll go ahead and go back down that path. Explain exactly what it is you do for your clients and the business, I guess, a couple businesses you have. And you also have worked with the team, Grant Cardone team, correct?
Nope, not Grant Cardone. Tony Robbins
Dean Graziosi. Thank you. Yep.
It's all good. Yeah. So yeah, man, a little bit about me. I do a lot of different things. I have a lot of fun in a lot of different spaces, primarily focused on serving entrepreneurs that are building businesses. And I've had the privilege of not only speaking and training as a part of a team for Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. I've also helped do some program development with their team, which has been a lot of fun, incredible experience, just being surrounded by some awesome people. And I started my coaching practice several years back, where I transitioned out of the corporate space. Background is in sales and marketing. I really just wanted to start teaching people how to grow their business effectively through sales. But what started out as this thing I called empathy sales, I didn't really quite understand it, other than the fact that my strong suit is empathy. It's always been my number one strength. And from there, through a progression of events, of meeting some great people, I started a consulting firm with the two business partners I have, Shane Thuralt and Sandra Hasley. Shane lives in Florida, Sandra's in New York. And we work with entrepreneurs of every single level. So we've got resources and trainings for those that are just getting businesses off the ground, those scaling to six figures, and those scaling from 6 figures to 7 and beyond. And so I just love playing in that playground, and it's what I do, man. It's way more than just sales and marketing, as we dove into last time. But that's what I guess if you want to put me in a little nutshell, that's it.
Well, that's a great nutshell to be in, and I'm sure there's a lot of squirrels out there trying to find that nugget, right, of information.
Right.
We dove into faith because in our discussion we had built up the idea of having your faith intertwined with who you are as a person and not hiding it. How do you balance your faith along with your business, and does that prevent you from doing business with some people?
Right. Yeah. I loved that conversation, and I'm glad we're opening it back up, because I think that a lot of times, so the premise of fierce empathy, just so everyone kind of has some context for what that means and what it actually is to me, fierce empathy is this willingness to confront the reality that we approach life with a certain perspective, a certain paradigm. We have filtered lenses. We all, myself included, you included, we see life through a certain set of lenses. And to assume that we are absolutely 100% factually true in those perceptions is incredibly arrogant, in my opinion, right? Now, again, I'm coming through a lens of like, this is my perception, and there's a lot of people that disagree. But how I see the world is that we're surrounded by people that are constantly being sensitive about sharing their beliefs and not offending people and wanting to make sure that they're respecting of all different, stuff. We won't go too far down that rabbit hole.
I was like, oh no, you're opening up a huge can of worms right now. But
right. But
okay.
For me, what it is a willingness to step outside of how I see the world, to, with everything within my power, try and understand another individual and see beyond what the surface presents, to see beyond what a lot of people, in our faith, we talk about man looks at the outward appearance and God looks at the heart. My daily practice is trying to understand the heart and paradigm and perspective of that individual, regardless of what the outward facing appearance is, regardless of, we dove into this even too, Bobby, I'd love to share, is like, we have all lived our lives going through pain, betrayal, struggle, heartbreak, frustration, any number of things at various levels. And we have effectively created this shell around ourselves that is this identity. It's the front-facing identity that we have.
Okay.
And a lot of times we're not able to be fully ourselves because the presenting version of us is not really who we were created to be, nor is it who we want to be. And yet we show up with our facades at work and in our relationships and with our kids and at the ball game and all these different types of things, but there's something that's out of alignment. And so for me, fierce empathy is trying my best to see into the heart of an individual, that version of them that maybe they are, maybe they aren't, who they truly are, to understand where they're coming from, but simultaneously being willing to state what I believe to be the truth with humility and being unwavering in that. So when we talk about faith in business, is that I'm not going to back down on my beliefs, but I'm not going to be too arrogant to not have a conversation and try and understand why someone sees the world the way that they do. And ultimately for me, when it comes to Christianity, which is the adherence of my faith, is that I want to be able to, with every interaction, people to sense the love of God.
Yes.
And love doesn't mean I agree. It doesn't mean that I approve of everything. It doesn't mean, it's just like with kids, right? Bobby, do you have any kids?
No, I do not. I'm a child myself.
Okay. So. One of the things that I love is, obviously when we're raising kids, I've got two adorable kiddos, is that sometimes love, a lot of the time, means saying no.
Right.
It means having to make the hard decision because of love. It's a version, and I talk about this or when it comes to my clients. It's asking the tough questions that everyone else is either too scared, too egotistical, or too concerned with themselves to even ask. They're worried about the relationship. So fierce empathy to me, when it comes to faith and business and everything that we do, my heart is I want to ask you the tough questions because I know that I don't have all the right answers. But if we ask enough questions and seek to understand, we can create healthy communication and work in tandem, work together, regardless of the differences in our belief system or how we see the world or our religious background or our ethnicity or our sex orientation, any of those type of things. It's seeing the person. Does that make sense, Bobby?
It does. It does. And for me, whenever I was getting ready for this podcast, a song came on, like the last song I listened to, and the name of it was "What If God Was One of Us." You've heard that song?
I have, yeah.
It was very fitting for me because, and I'll reiterate what you said, I pray and I hope from the bottom of my heart that people feel the love of God and Jesus Christ through my actions.
Right.
And it's a lot, and maybe you felt this too, but I feel like it's a lot of weight oftentimes trying to get through to people and have them understand that, hey, I'm trying to understand you.
Right.
I don't want to push anything on you.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about the idea of, I guess, back up. I was raised to believe that when you conduct business, you don't talk about politics or religion.
Right.
And as I got out of the Army, because in the Army there's really no, there's nothing wrong. I mean, on our dog tags it says our religion. It's not a big deal to have your faith, to proclaim your faith, which is great.
Yeah.
But whenever I got out into the civilian world, I kind of had that mantra in the back of my head, but I also had, I feel, Jesus telling me, don't ever hide your faith.
Yeah.
Why would you hide your faith? What are you afraid of? Are you afraid
Right.
of not getting more income because of your proclamation of your belief in me and my following? And I was like, well, that can't be
Right.
a good answer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really
Well, here's
important.
what's funny.
Go ahead.
Here's what's funny, Bobby, is that I love this conversation because most of my clients and the people that I work with, they're not Christian and they don't adhere to Christianity. And what they see inside of that fierce empathy, inside of what I believe, and I know I'm sure some of my clients will watch this and they can attest to it, is that fierce empathy of really the tough love, asking the questions that no one else is willing to ask. That's where I feel like one of my core strengths is that I love you too much to let you stay where you are, and no one else has the cojones to ask you these tough questions. And I would rather put our cordial friendship relationship on the line in the name of you becoming everything that you are called to be, if that means that I'm the expense of that. This has to be severed for you to recognize, right? Mm-hmm. And what I mean by I'm removing my ego, I'm saying I care more about you than I care about how you feel about this situation right now or how I feel about the situation right now. I care about you. I want the best for you. I want you to sense this. And people find that very strange because most people aren't willing to do that. We're trying to, walk on eggshells and make sure we don't ruffle any feathers. And when it comes to in business, I feel like it's not so much of Western culture, particularly evangelical, that segment of Christianity have done a lot of preaching and not a lot of practicing, not a lot of living it, not a lot of actually looking at not just the words that Jesus said, not just what the Bible says, but how he conducted his life, how he actually lived, how he actually interacted with people, and saying, I want to model that. So I know that what would Jesus do is like, is kind of cliche at this point, but the reality is not like, what does Jesus have to say about this situation? Is he looking over your shoulder and he make sure you're doing the right? It's not, no, like, how would he act now?
How would he act? Exactly. That's what I'm getting at.
Right.
WWJD, when those bracelets came out, I was halfway offended. I was thinking to myself, if you have to have a bracelet,
right,
to remind you what Jesus would do, try carrying around a Bible.
Well, and the bad thing is that became a tool of judgment and a tool of condemnation, guilt, and shame.
Oh,
is that people would look at it and be like, right? That, or they would look at it and they'd feel guilty because like, oh, Jesus wouldn't do that. Yeah, shame on you. Jesus wouldn't do that, right? And this, especially living in the South, like I love my Southern fam, but we're in that Bible belt. You know what I mean?
Bible belt. Yeah.
But all that to say, Bobby, I think when it comes to, I want people that have different beliefs to feel like they can be safe around me, that they can be themselves and not have to change, recognizing that I love you for you. I disagree with this, and this, but it will not affect my love for you and how I treat you as a human being, how much I respect you, how much I care for you. I will open the door for you. I will do whatever it takes to embody my belief system. And I'm not going to expect you to be accommodating or to understand it. I'm just going to live it. And what happens, Bobby, is people see that and they're like, wait a minute. Something is different about you. Something is different about your life. I don't know what it is. And like, well, what is it? I'm like, Jesus.
little Jesus in the mix.
But I don't think it's preaching. I think it's living. I think it's fully embodying that. And people notice, they feel it. It's a spiritual thing.
And I'll take it in another direction. We're another olive branch on this. There's like 5 in my head right now of roads I want to go down, but we'll go down this one.
Cool.
Speaking of people thinking you're strange, like I get that a lot, and it's probably for several different reasons. I mean, I'm not a typical. I don't eat at TGI Fridays, happy hour on Friday with the boys and talk about sports. That's just not me. And if that's your lifestyle, hey man, that's good on you. Invite me out. I may show up. But people are not accustomed to someone doing things out of niceness without anything in return. And I got to give myself one little pat on the back, and then I want to give a huge slap on the butt to another kid who helped me out. Last week, I had a close friend of mine who I'm trying to help out with his social media stuff. And he said to me, Bobby, I just got to take this in for a second. I'm not used to people being this nice to me. And I'm talking with him, thinking in my head, I'm like, his name's Gino. I'm like, you're Gino. Everybody loves you. What do you mean you're not, people used to being, people aren't nice to you? Like, you're the life of everywhere you go. And, his experiences have been, because he is so outgoing, because he is so nice to other people, he's not used to feeling that love in return. And it's really amazing when you get that love back in return. And that's what happened to me last week. I guess 3 days ago. A friend of mine I met on the internet, it's kind of like the new Craigslist. Sorry. Kidding. Kidding. We met on Omegle, and we actually got a group of people. We're going for the world record for how many people from Omegle will get in a Zoom call. It was kind of fun. But this gentleman's name is Kyle, 18-year-old kid. And without me even asking or bringing up that I wanted a new design for the podcast, which I'd been wanting for a long time, he sends me our new design, and he made it himself. And he was just gave it, like, here you go. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is sick, man. This is like, this is professional. Like, he must have spent over 8 hours on it at least. Yeah. And I FaceTime with him yesterday, and he was saying, no bother, no big deal. And it just felt so good getting that love back. So I think if you give it, you'll receive it. And I'm going to throw that back to you and have you give us an example of your experiences with that.
It's a lot of people call it different things. Some people call it karma. Some people call it favor. Some people call it blessing. Some people call it law of attraction, right? There's a lot of different terms that are used. And really, regardless of your belief system, if you look at it on a scientific level, there's a form of energy that we're expelling in everything that we're doing, right? Okay. There's an energy to it. There's a frequency. Our bodies have a frequency. And you can call it magical or whatever you want, is when you put things, I believe, with everything inside of me, when you're focused on investing your life, not just money, your life, instead of spending or saving, and you're actually investing every single moment, you will create effectively a life portfolio where you will have returns on those investments for perpetuity, for the rest of your life. And it will continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. And Albert Einstein talked about that, is that compound interest, right? Was that eighth wonder of the world, compound interest?
Yes. Yeah. And
that's how I see life, is that when we give, a lot of people call it, there's an incredible book called The Go-Giver, which I'd encourage anyone to check out. It talks about how, well, let me just ask a question, Bobby, for you and for listeners. Is it better to breathe out or breathe in?
Man, I feel better when I breathe out.
Okay. All right. So I don't know the science, but but here's the deal. One of them is technically better than the other. However, if you just do the quote unquote better one, and that's all you do, you'll die. Like if you just breathe out and keep breathing out and breathe out and breathe out and breathe, and you don't ever breathe in, guess what? You're going to die, right? Like you're going to pass out at the very least. You might not die, but you're going to pass out, right? It's holding your breath. And that is the principle of that so many people miss. We're incredibly good at breathing out, giving. There's no lack of people that are out there in the world giving.
All right, agreed.
But just about every single person that I know sucks at receiving.
Oh man,
terrible
I'm
at receiving.
The worst. I feel like I'm the worst at it. I hate it.
But that's the block, though, is that what ends up happening is, in Scripture it talks about love your neighbor as yourself.
Yes.
Right? I don't think a lot of people really understand what that means. Love your neighbor as yourself. Most people, guess what, Bobby? They don't really love themselves. Most people hate themselves. And so how they absolve those feelings of hatred, of guilt, of shame, of condemnation, of just can't stand looking at themselves in the mirror, you know how they absolve that? They give the best form of love that they possibly can to other people to take the focus off themselves. And so on the surface, it looks good.
Are you trying to
on the surface, it looks.
Are you talking to me about myself right now? I feel like
I'm not trying to talk to you right now. No, I say this because I see it every single day. I see it every day, and I've had to go through this process. I definitely haven't mastered it, so please don't misunderstand. I just have learned that there is this thing that we do where we give love, or we do it, but it's a hollow version of what was intended, simply because the foundation of true love is loving ourselves. If I don't love myself, I can't see you through the right lens. I can't approach you with real empathy. I can't possibly hope to understand you and where you're coming from. It's the dust in the eye versus the plank, right? It's like focus on a little speck in your neighbor's eye, and you got a plank in yours. Right. There's so many people that are trying to love people, save the world, help, give, but they're not able. They struggle to receive love. And the reason is because they don't love themselves. I don't know how many times I've had conversation, and Bobby, this was me for years. For years of my life, I could not look myself in the mirror and say, you know what, David? I love you, man. You're a solid dude. I'm freaking proud of you. And you're doing a great job. You want to know what was said? I will keep it PG for all of our fam here, but it was a lot of not.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm just thinking I think of what I said to myself in the mirror, like get your stuff together and get after it.
Yes,
it's time to go. It's
worse things than that, and so I say all that, Bobby, because I think that when we talk about giving, we talk about receiving, we're talking about the breathing in and breathing out, of being able to attract what you talked about. You attracted that into your life. Is that I believe it is a law of attraction. I believe it is something that we can actively practice with gratitude, but the foundation of that is loving yourself. If I don't love myself, I cannot possibly hope to attract all the things that I want, because there'll be hollow versions of it. I can't properly receive because I'm constantly filtering what people say to me, how they approach me. I'm questioning whether my wife really means it when she says I love you. I'm questioning my family and friends' motives. I'm looking at my kids, and there's this filter because I'm like trying to fill this thing that was never meant to be filled by someone else, because I just don't love myself. And when I love myself and I recognize I can be in total alignment and I can give and openly receive and literally say, thank you, I received that. That's such a blessing. No. Right? No. I
what can I do for you? Like, I know I got to give you something back here. Just, I guess for me, and I'll even go back a little bit of what you said earlier. And in my circumstance, I wouldn't say it's that extreme for me. Like I love myself, and I've come to learn love myself and forgive myself. Mainly because of what I went through as I got out of the Army. Spoiler alert: I got asked to leave politely. Another really long, weird story. And I went through a severe depression. I mean, I was traumatized to the point where I had, call my dad, and, that's a blessing that I could call my dad. Sometimes just crying, bawling like I'm a failure. Like my whole life's over. I'm a shame. I'm an embarrassment to the family. And, I had him boost me up and also make me realize that there's so much more to accomplish in life and to to get over, and he kind of taught me, you have to love yourself. You have to love yourself. And
Yep.
as I progressed through that time, and then got into the civilian world, it's still. I'll admit that I hear what you're saying there, because I still feel like I owe so much to the world and I have so much to accomplish, that when somebody does something nice for me, for some reason, I feel like it's not a setback necessarily, but a how would you describe that? I don't want to owe anybody anything,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
I
an
see
issue.
it as usually it's one of two things. Usually we instinctively think, what's the ulterior motive?
Right.
As in, like, what do you want? Why are you helping me? And it's this very defensive, right? It's like, I know that the only reason you're doing this is because it's the Godfather complex. Favor for a favor, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna
It's
ask
like,
you a little favor.
need a favor one day, right? And I think that it's usually that, number one. There's one of a couple of different things. We feel, rightfully so, we feel concerned because we feel like that person is going to cash in on it, right? At some point, they're doing it to get something out of it later on, right? Which tells me that's not actually true giving; it's manipulation.
Right.
Big difference. Right?
Well, let's take the Kyle thing, for instance. Kyle made this, and I know
Right.
that he has no expectations for me whatsoever.
Right.
Which is
Yeah.
crazy to me, but also awesome.
Right.
So I feel obligated to do something for him in return. Like, my mind is
Right.
kind of like the gears are shifting. Like, how can I help this kid out? So what would you call that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's one thing that it's a beautiful way of how we operate as humans, right? It's natural for us to give and receive. And when you operate the way that you're doing, right, and you're not doing it, here's the difference. So you might feel like, I want to do something, but it's different than being motivated by this guilt or real obligation.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does,
like, you're like, hey, I want to do something back for you because thank you. That was awesome. Let me do something kind back for you.
That's how I feel.
Right. And but here's where we make the mistake. What's the kid's name?
Kyle.
So if you go back to Kyle and be like, Kyle, man, I want to do something nice for you for helping me out with this, or this was just incredible. Like, I want to do something for you. He's like, no, man, I really just wanted to bless you with that. You will make a mistake if you push at that point, because you'll be robbing him of the blessing that he is gaining from knowing that he gave you something with no strings attached. And when people push back like we do and say, no, I got to repay you, we steal the blessing from them.
Yeah, totally. Wow. Very insightful.
It's how we are. When we
Very
give
insightful.
those gifts to other people that we genuinely don't want anything in return, and they say, let me repay you. We're like, no. When they do repay us, we feel like we were robbed. We're like, no, that's not, no.
I was just doing that to me. I needed that. I needed that to give something to somebody, right? Yeah. Wow. That is awesome. Okay. Let me, I got some Facebook notifications going off here. Let me see if any of them are people asking questions. And I'll,
Cool, man.
I'll go ahead and have a, let's see here. Oh, thank you, Lindsay, for sharing our stream. I appreciate that. Lindsay's awesome.
What's up, Lindsay?
Let's see here. We're gonna try to start winding this down around 1400, 1410-ish.
Yeah, we got 15, 20 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Here's something I'm struggling with, David, if you really want to hear it.
I'm all ears, brother. That's what I'm here for. I can't promise you I have the answer, but I'm here to listen.
Then what am I talking to you for? Okay, so we have something that we have in our last discussion that we haven't brought up yet, and that fired me up. I mean, fired me up, brother.
Okay. Yeah.
You are, I'm not sure if you want to call it starting the movement or the name of the company or your email address, but it's Generation Impact.
Yep.
Right. From the bottom of my heart, I believe that our generation has the capabilities to make an impact far beyond what has ever happened before, as far as entrepreneurs, as a Christian or a man of faith, as a human being. How do you tackle the what I would call football game of mass violence through rhetoric on social media? How do you go throughout that?
I remember we talked about this. This was fun. This was a fun conversation. So to start off with, we'll talk about stewardship and responsibility, right? Is that we have a generation that is starving for leadership. They're starving for people that will stand for truth, but also operate in humility. It's a form of confidence that many people have never seen before, because they're so used to arrogant, egotistical, self-serving individuals that that aren't operating from a place of humility. And I think confidence and humility are two sides of the exact same coin. And I think that we have this obligation as leaders to set a precedent for what is going to affect not only the next generation, but generations to come, because of this reason. Right now, if you think about it, Bobby, you and I didn't grow up with internet.
No.
Grew up with like Nintendo.
It was awesome.
And it was awesome. It was the best thing. And we're the first, I would say, the millennial generation, the first generation that has existed in adulthood in an internet saturated landscape that is now the information, full-blown information age. And we have the ability to connect with literally anyone at almost every single place on the planet in an instant.
Right.
That's tremendous responsibility. And there are people that are starving for authentic, genuine leadership from people that will acknowledge, hey, guess what? I don't have all the right answers, but I'm willing to ask the hard questions, and I'm willing to serve with everything inside of me so that we can collectively be the tide that lifts all boats. And so to your first part of that question, when it comes to the future, I believe entrepreneurs have a tremendous opportunity to bring change. And that's what I love about entrepreneurship. That's what I love about the diversity of what success means to every single person. You line 100 people up and ask them what success looks like,
you probably get 500.
Every one of them is going to have it. Exactly. And that's what's beautiful, is that there are so many places that we need change, and we need to be able to empower entrepreneurs to carry their mission and their message to serve more people. And it's not just about serving clients. It's not just about generating the revenue, building the business. It's what that influx of revenue, money, the resources can be reallocated into, which we talked about last time. Is like, I believe in entrepreneurs creating extravagant wealth, because broke people don't build hospitals. Broke people don't build schools. Broke people don't build orphanages. Broke people don't support those in mission work. They don't rescue people from human trafficking, right? Now, I'm not saying that it's only that. So I need to put a caveat to that. Is that
I now
money
have that
doesn't.
Clip, so I can just make it seem
There
like
you go,
said
man.
that.
Go for it. Context.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Is that no. I think that you can, in a very real way, boots on the ground, one person at a time, have a tremendous impact on those places and be broke. But we're talking about significant overhaul and change, which requires more than a single individual. It has to be a collective, a community, and it's going to take a lot of freaking money to make change in any of these given areas.
Sorry.
Right?
Yeah. It's going to take a lot of capital to bring some serious
a lot
change.
of capital. And I would rather that capital be flowing from the people that lead with the heart of givers and servants, that understand that it's not about them, that are willing to say, I am here to serve. Mm-hmm. I will lead, but I will lead through serving. And I saw an image one time, Bobby, you've maybe seen this too, is that it was talking about I think a master versus a leader or something like that. And like people that kind of lord over a master, and it's like a chariot. And there was one with like, and he was like cracking a whip and the people are in front and like pulling the chariot. And then it had the leader, another picture. The leader was at the very front of the line, pulling, working, serving there in the trenches. And so I know this is a long-winded answer to your first part of the question. But we have a tremendous opportunity and a tremendous responsibility. And how we do that, in answer to your second part of the question, when we're dealing with trolls, we're dealing with people that spread hate, that are offended at everything, that
Oh man, we only
it's
have
one of those
10 to 15 minutes, and I'm like, okay.
Here's what I've seen is, and I don't know who said this, but it's brilliant, is that hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
And most of the time that we see the hate and the anger and the offense and the trolling comments, to me, every time I see that, and my response was not like this for a very long time, but now it's compassion. And I'm wondering
The same way.
why, because most people are like, SDFU, get on my page, whatever, right?
LMAO.
Yeah, and I think that people can only change when they're in an environment that gives them the freedom to be seen, heard, and understood. And most of these people that are in the online space and just in the world, people just want to be seen. People just want to be heard. People just want to be understood. And so when I see that manifest in the form of a trolling comment or a hate something or whatever, yeah, I might have an emotional response and be angry, but how I actually respond, I can feel the emotion. I can be pissed off. I can be hurt. I can feel it in the moment. That's our you can feel it, right? It's like, oh man, dude, that really, like, why would somebody say that about me? That hurts, right? But then I take that step back and I say, wait. Understand that I don't understand. Understand that I don't have context for this person, who they are, their background, their pain, their struggles, their frustrations, anything like in the same way that they don't usually have for me. And how I respond to this individual may be the first time in their life that they have ever had someone respond with grace, compassion, humility, and fierce empathy.
Man, I love that fierce empathy. I'm not sure if you have that copyrighted yet, but I may.
People keep telling me I need to. Somebody probably going to listen to this podcast and do it and sell it to me.
Hey, that's entrepreneurship. Kidding. That's not entrepreneurship.
It is entrepreneurship.
That's me.
Gary V.
Gary V. Okay. Man, so I'm so glad you brought up Gary V. So let's talk about that real fast.
Okay.
The man's a genius. I don't care what anybody says. Sorry, I'm having to mess with all my stuff here. It's one of these days I'll have a Joe Rogan style studio. Until then, I'm gonna fidget with everything until I get it right. Until I feel like I got it right.
Well, dude, you look great, man. You look fresher than Joe Rogan. He's usually in that t-shirt, like me. I'm just like, I'm here. You're like, I'm dressed for success, bro. I love it.
Yes, sir. There's so many different perspectives and thought processes in my mind when it comes to the online community and my place in it. And just as you said, having fierce empathy for some of these trolls, or they don't necessarily may not know they're trolls. They're full of hate. They need somebody to, like you said, be nice to them. And at some point, I will be like that towards a lot of people. I'm not shooting 100% on that. I definitely have been.
I don't think any of us are.
Short.
Yeah.
But I'm trying. And at some point, I've had to give up on some of them. And so that's something else I want to make sure that anybody who is influenced by what you and I are saying here is there has to also be a point where you have to let these people go, because they will drain you emotionally. And I've been there. Where it's they've seen it. They may now recognize, whether they admit it or not, that some people are actually nice. And that's what I'll say about that part. Now, talking about Gary V, this is why this guy's a genius. I don't know what your feelings are on cryptocurrency. It's not going anywhere. It's been around for a long time. I bought flowers on Facebook with the Facebook Cash thing in like 2008 for a girlfriend. So I've been using cryptocurrency for over 13 years. There are mainstream media is dead as far as anyone over 30, under 30. Mainstream news, all these multi-billion-dollar companies, they know that.
Mm-hmm.
And when people hear, this is what I see as a problem. When people hear like, I heard this and it wasn't on mainstream news. I'm like, whoa, well, who do you think afforded it all the servers that thing's on? It's probably mainstream news, you idiot. Is it really censored? Oh, we're being censored? If you've heard a story and it's censored, then how'd you hear about it? You haven't. It's not actually censored.
Right.
The news media picks and chooses what they want to play. And I think as a conservative, I've considered myself a constitutionalist. I'm not loyal to the GOP. They can be loyal to me if they want. That's how that works. I hire them. And when it comes to these whiny baby conservatives that I see, and I've been guilty of it myself, like, we're being censored, and then you get the trolls involved on the other side, be like, well, it's because it's not the facts. And so I see this issue, this problem that I hope people like you and I can kind of tackle, together in our own separate ways, of letting people realize that the only way to really fulfill what we perceive as the truth is to live it. You cannot expect to watch the news and be like, oh, finally I found a news station that agrees with everything that I say and everything that I think. Mm-hmm. Let me know what channel that is, because that's crazy to me.
Yeah. I think it's the same thing with churches too. It's like people just hop around based on what they want to hear and how they want it delivered and what's most palatable. And I think that this ties heavily to our conversation about trolls and stuff like that, is that number one, neither of us are Jesus, and we don't have any responsibility to be the savior of the world. Like that, I don't want that job. Like that was taken care of. Solid, good.
Thank goodness.
Right?
Thank you, Lord.
Yes, thank you, Lord. But when it comes to the division that we see and all the different elements that come into politics and religion and all of it, I think that what we have to remember, there's a few things. Number one, the message that we share isn't for everyone. Yeah. Number two, and whatever it is, I'm talking entrepreneurship and everything like that. People contextualize, right? They're contextualizing so you can talk about one thing, and online, if it goes to the wrong place on the internet, they will read that and make it mean something that it was never meant to mean, right? That's part of it. But you had said something just a second ago. I'm trying to lace it together here. We were talking about when it comes to GOP politics, liberals, conservatives, or whatever. I think that a lot of times we forget that everything is marketing, number one.
Yes, that's
like everything.
Yes, sorry.
Right? Everything is marketing. All of it, whether you agree with it being, I don't think we need to demonize media in general, but I do think that we have to remember that they're looking for views, they're looking for eyeballs, they're looking for attention. Obviously, we see the negativity as what gets eyeballs, but if you turn on the news for 4.2 seconds, you'll get depressed. And people are living from fear to fear to fear to fear to fear to fear. And when it comes to dealing with people in the online space, man, I do think, yes, it's part being nice, but also just remembering, like, you can't change someone's opinion in 4 seconds because of a comment that is on a post somewhere on TikTok.
That's where Gary V proves that.
Right. We can't, all we can do is live it, like you said, Bobby, is like, it's just living it and allowing. That's how, what's really awesome that you brought up Gary V real quick is because the first several times I listened to Gary V, I was like, this is the most arrogant jerk of an entrepreneur I have ever heard of. How in the world is this guy famous? And then I would like, but there was just something. There was just, I was like, and I was intrigued, right?
Yeah, same here.
And you can see it when you go through his comments. You know, the people that haven't been listening to Gary V for very long. And then you're like, dude, this guy's dropping F-bombs left and right, and he's working with school. What the heck? He's like telling you to like F off and all this. And then you listen to him, and I'm like, wait a minute. Whoa. Dude, I don't know if there's anybody that cares as much as this dude does. What the heck? Because he's a paradox, man. He is a paradox. If there ever was one. I'll tell you, most of the evangelicals in the Christian space, like, they're not. They hear Gary V open his mouth for 4 seconds, like, no, he's not my people. I'm like, you just missed the heart.
Yeah,
you missed the heart.
Thank you. You missed the heart. And where Gary V, and I called this out to my girlfriend Shelly about TikTok. Oh man, you said that everything is marketing. Everything in life is marketing. Sales. Life is sales.
Everything is sales too.
I remember the ocean spray video came out.
Yes, dude. Was that dog face or whatever?
Dog face. Do you know what the odds are of that going viral? None at all. Do you know what the odds are of Gary Vee being involved with that and being, I don't know, hired by Ocean Spray to sell more Ocean Spray? I'll let people do the research. It's 100%.
Whew.
So TikTok, just like all these other major platforms, pick and choose what's being sold and what trends, etc. Now, you can be angry with that, which I think is a waste of time. I mean, I was angry for a little bit when I realized these guys are it's all a scam. And then I realized, I was like, no, these guys are these people are just making money. These people are just seeing how, and as Gary Vee would say, seeing how you can tell 100 people something of this is the formula for what you have defined to me as success. This right here. And they'll all 100 of them be like, yes, I'm going to do that. Maybe one of them will go do it. People in general are, unfortunately, and it's human nature, I'm part of it too, we're manipulated is a strong word, so I'm going to say manipulated, but it's not the right word. Influenced, I guess. To see what we want to see.
That's why there's influencers.
Yeah, so we see what we want to see. And so I'm excited because one day I want to start bobbynews.com. I already own the website, by the way, so nobody can go steal it.
Okay.
And when I hear people complain about this as an entrepreneur, I've been hearing these complaints forever, and I'm gonna offer a solution because you can't really gripe about somebody griping unless you have a solution, I feel like. And so my solution is fine. Donate money to bobbynews.com, and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. We'll have a weekly poll or a daily poll, and there's no censorship. You can write in whatever you want to write in, and we'll talk about whatever we want to talk about. Is that okay with you? Because then, by definition, no one's censored here. I mean, what do you think about that? What are your thoughts on that?
It sounds like something that I haven't seen a model for before, but sounds incredible because you have the opportunity to give people what they want, right? I think that the hardest part is establishing and getting the audience to be able to give you the information for what they want. And I think that that's the power of marketing and sales, right? Is that marketing is presenting what people want, and on the back end of that is the sales process. Then fulfillment is giving them not only what they want, but also everything they didn't know that they needed. particularly in the business of transforming lives, is that I can't front-facing sell mindset, even though that I know without a shadow of a doubt, anyone in business, if you don't have your mindset right, it doesn't matter what strategies we implement. It doesn't matter how much we look at your sales and marketing systems. But guess what nobody's going to buy, Bobby? Mindset training.
My mind's fine.
But I help you 2x your conversions, help you to, to add 10K a month to your top line. Those are very quantifiable things that different people lead with. I don't lead with those, but I'm just giving examples. Is that contextually, you can't, when it comes to the marketing and the front facing, it's just remembering that it is about what people want. And what people want is swayed by popular opinion. And we're all swayed by that. There's a very popular quote unquote guru in the online marketing space that I thought I had pegged. You know how tell me, have you ever seen marketing and you knew it was marketing? You're like, I'm not falling for that marketing, right? You ever seen this type of people?
Yeah.
This guy, I found myself about 6 months ago I had like one of those epiphany moments, and I realized, oh my gosh, his marketing, and I had to take a step back. I didn't realize that this individual had marketed so well that they had convinced me that there was only one way to do a specific thing. That, namely, direct response marketing, I won't say the guy's name, was the only way that you could effectively market and build a business online. I had believed that. But the problem was everything I had ever done leading up to that point, as far as how I market and how I sell and everything that I teach, was in opposition to that. But it was working. And then one day I was like, wait a minute. I've been fighting against myself, dealing with imposter syndrome and all this other bull crap about what I teach and how I help people, because I believed the marketing from this dude that this is the only way. And that's really what good marketing is. It's like, this is the only way. Like, this is what it has to be. And I'm not going to get into ethics and all that kind of stuff. That's a can of worms we can't open right now. But I do think for you and what you're doing, and just for all of our audience, if you're in the business of sales and marketing, so we have such a responsibility to do it with ethics, to lead with integrity, to love people well, to care for them, but also be like unwavering. That's why I say fierce. Like, be unwavering in who you are and what you believe, and be okay with that. But also understand you don't have it all figured out. None of us do. We don't have all the right answers.
I hope not.
I would rather
95 years old and still learning. That would be awesome.
Come on, Bobby. You believe in aliens. What the heck, bro?
I believe in aliens. I am an alien. There's a clip for you. I'll even take that a step further and ask people if they are not in entrepreneurship, if they're not in marketing and sales, but they want to support people that are trying to live with fierce empathy, to support people like you and I online. And it seems silly, but a like, subscribe, comment, all plays into getting our message out. And just like you would go down to your local church and donate because you love what that church is doing, here it's actually not even money. The currency is likes. The currency is comments. The currency is sharing. The currency is being interactive, even if it's 15-second response or I guess at the end of that, I'm saying it takes your fingers and some time, and that's currency. And that's a great phrase right there. I'm gonna go ahead and go to you real fast. What's your last thoughts, and then we'll go from there.
Man, my last thoughts are thank you, Bobby. I'm honored, brother. I really am. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for everyone that's listened. I guess if I can send you off on one thing is be careful how you talk to yourself. Love yourself. Realize that loving people doesn't mean you have to agree with them. Doesn't mean that you have to respect their opinions or their beliefs, but you can respect them because you are a respectable person, because you are someone that is living your belief system rather than preaching it, whatever that looks like. And recognize that every single day we get to decide. We get to decide who we're going to be. We get to commit to the process, and we get to become who we want to be. We get that process, decide, commit, become every single day. And I would ask people to challenge themselves. Are you who you want to be right now? And if not, what needs to change? And change it.
I love it, Mr. Waldy. Well, thank you everyone for watching. Mr. Waldy, thank you for your time. We'll go ahead and clip into the transition, and I'll let you get to work. Appreciate it, brother. You have a great, blessed day.
Appreciate you, man. Be blessed. You as well.